Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Tuesday night with me, Mick, here on Movies TV Mad. Isaac Cruz Pineda, Mick. Isaac Cruz Pineda, we're getting Battinson. Isaac Cruz Pineda, the DCU. So your headlines tonight, and we like to add some context to things here on Movies TV Mad, not just blurt out hot takes, even though that's the fashion these days. So let me read them off. David Zaslav has said David Zaslav has said he doesn't want four Batmen in the DCU. So he said there won't be four Batmen in the DCU. We will discuss that shortly. Now, James Gunn and Peter Safran have almost completed their DC Universe Bible. Yes, a Bible, with what they want to do with this. I'll explain. And the Batman movies script book has been released. And in a deleted scene, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, was mentioned. Very exciting. But we must remember, it wasn't in the film. And so it's interesting. Could she play a role in the future? Of course she should. And James Gunn has teased Mr. Terrific. So that's exciting. So he's teased Lobo, Deadman, and now Mr. Terrific. Some people believe Mr. Terrific will be in the Checkmate TV show, which James is apparently developing. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So let's go. Isaac Cruz Pineda, Barbara Gordon is canon. Isaac Cruz Pineda, hype. Well, just remember, Isaac, she wasn't in the actual scene, but the script book has been released, and she certainly had a reference in there that wasn't used in the film, and that's important. It wasn't actually used in the film. Whether she'll be used going forward, your guess is as good as mine. As I say, context is important all the time. I want to talk about context. I want people to be informed. I don't want to shout hot takes. Short Circuit, I think Gunn also teased Batmite. Yeah, that was last week, though. We've moved on since then. He's teased a lot of things. Or he basically made it known that he loves Batmite. Isaac Cruz Pineda, how old would you assume that Barbara Gordon would be in the Batman? Well, Jim Gordon is he looks like he's in his late 40s, early 50s. So she could be around 20, 23, something like that. Isaac Cruz Pineda. Also, apparently, Bruce Wayne is age 30. Yeah. So, yeah, none of that really matters, though. But we'll find out if they ever use her. But, yeah, things will happen the way Matt wants them anyway. So, yes, but I was thinking earlier, what we're going to talk about on the live. But we got quite a bit to talk about. Right. So, James Gunn and Peter Safran have almost completed their DC Universe Bible. What does that mean? Well, a Bible starts off with kind of the rules of their universe. So the rules of the universe is that they want to represent Batman and Superman, of course, but they don't just want to have the most famous heroes. They want to build this universe out with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, but then all the others, like Batmite, like Deadman, like Lobo, characters that haven't been in a DC universe or any DC live-action movie before. Now, Lobo was in the Krypton show. Pretty cool in that. But, we're going to get so many DC characters that are going to be part of this new DC universe spanning films, TV, animation, gaming, basically centered around one story. So they've almost completed their Bible. Now, they haven't been working on the Bible just for 2 weeks. They've been working on this for the past 6 months. So that's almost complete. So that's really, really exciting. James Gunn, of course, teased Mr. Terrific. Now, Mr. Terrific has been in the Arrowverse, by the way. I don't think he was a particularly great version of Mr. Terrific. If you're going to be called that, you better be terrific. So maybe that's going to be my new nickname for James Gunn, Mr. Terrific. If him and the team pull this universe off, because it's very ambitious, he and the rest of them will be Mr. Terrifics. So, yeah, so Gunn keeps on teasing different characters. It's clear these characters he's teasing are part of the Bible, are part of the plan, are part of the slate, what kind of role they play, whether it's in their own TV shows, streaming shows, or movies, or just play a part in a bigger universe, which I'm assuming is what it's going to be. It's brilliant. I want to see underrepresented characters in this new DC universe. I think it's a great thing. So where are we? Also, apparently Bruce Wayne is 30. The legend CJ Pattinson makes sense to be new DCU Batman. I'm going to discuss that. Isaac Cruz Pineda. Gordon looks pretty young, though. I'd say mid-40s. Don't know, maybe. The legend CJ, wait, are we talking about the Jim Gordon from the Batman? Well, I'm not. It's Isaac who's obsessing over ages, not me. Isaac Cruz Pineda, yeah. So let's get to it, because David Zaslav has been talking again. And what I love about Zaslav, he's very, very, he doesn't mess about. He says what he means. So he's been talking about the new DC universe. He says it's going to have a life of its own in the next few years. And he said there will not be 4 Batman in the new DC universe. So does that mean there'll be 3, 2, or 1? Here are the options. Either the Batman universe from Matt Reeves stays in its own bubble, and then the DC universe has its own Batman. The DC universe will definitely have their own Batman, right? Whatever happens. So you can either have 2 Batmen, right? Because he says he doesn't want 4, and there won't be 4, right? So, how many Batmen they're going to be in the Hamadaverse after Flashpoint? Let's count. Well, we didn't really know what was going to happen to Ben Affleck after the Flashpoint. He was going to be involved with Final Crisis. He was going to be trapped in the Elseworld, begging Barry for help, like Barry had asked him for help in BVS. But I'm assuming Batfleck would have turned up for Final Crisis. So you would have had Batfleck, Michael Keaton, and Robert Pattinson. So there was never 4 Batmen, as far as I know. But I think what Zaslav means by this, he doesn't want multiple Batmen. So I'm guessing there's going to be 2 Batmen or just 1 Batman. Now, let's take this further, because this is the question we've been debating on here for a long time. Who's going to be the DC Universe Batman? So your first option, if we only have 1 Batman, then it would definitely be Robert Pattinson. Because if Robert Pattinson's going to exist, either in the DC Universe or in Matt Reeves' bubble, one of the two. So if there's only 1 Batman, it would have to be Robert Pattinson, because he ain't going anywhere. And Reeves ain't going anywhere. He's already taken 1 or 2 of his own producers from the Batman into DC Studios. So Reeves and Todd Phillips, we'll get into Todd Phillips very shortly. But, Reeves and Todd Phillips are, Zaslav's favorite directors working with DC right now. He spoke to Phillips a lot, and asked his advice and really wanted his feedback on DC Universe going forward. So Todd Phillips is well fancied by Zaslav. So there's no question about that. So these are the options. Do you have Phoenix's Joker there and another Joker in the Central Universe? These are the things we're looking at. TY, I wouldn't be opposed to Pattinson in the DCEU with Cavill and Gadot. No, nor would I be if, whatever's going to happen with the DC Universe. We don't know who's going to be Wonder Woman. You assume it's Gal, but we'll have to wait and see. Wow, there's so much to talk about. Anyway, so yes, the option is that, you see, if it was me personally, I would have spoken to Matt Reeves and I would have said, how do you feel about your bubble universe being part of the central universe? And if it was a no, it's a no. You've got to respect the man. He came in, he's got a concept, he's got an idea. You can't force the issue. And I'm sure they respect Matt Reeves enough to understand if he wants it to stay in a bubble, it stays in a bubble. Me personally, I would look to centralize Pattinson into the main DC universe, but that may not be possible because Matt may not want it. And at the end of the day, that's got to be respected. Short Circuit. Batman 2 will feature multiple Batman, right? Let me try and explain to you the difference. There's a difference, right? There's a difference between the 4 movies coming out next year and the future DC universe. So don't get confused. This is why I keep on going. They need to clarify stuff because people keep on going, yeah, but right, let's talk about this. Short Circuit, Batman 2 will feature multiple Batman, right? Well, we don't know for sure, by the way. TY, Pattinson in the DCU increased the likelihood of getting the less realistic Batman elements in movies like Clayface or Lazarus Pit. I don't agree. I had this discussion last night. Isaac Cruz Pineda, if there are 2 Batmans, the only option it can be is either Keaton and Pattinson or Affleck and Pattinson. Couldn't disagree more. Keaton is past his time, in my opinion. Affleck is difficult to decipher. Right. You've got to stop thinking what's happening with the DCEU. The old DCEU is just going to be a continuation into the new universe. James said new universe for a reason. Just because there may be multiple Batmen in the Flash and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom doesn't mean that's going to be the thing in the new plan, in the new DC universe. What happened in the DCEU doesn't mean they're trapped within those Batmen. They could literally forget about the DCEU completely and start from scratch. We don't know that for sure, right? So they're not the only options, right? So one thing I know for sure, Michael Keaton will not be the DC Universe Batman, right? Ben Affleck, we don't know because who knows what's going on with him. It's unlikely he will be involved past Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And I believe when we finish with Lost Kingdom, basically Keaton will be done and not used again. That's how I feel about that. So Affleck and Keaton, they're not trapped with them. They can move on into this new universe and forget all about them and have a 25 to 30-year-old Batman for that universe. Whether that's Robert Pattinson or not depends if they've made an agreement with Matt Reeves to centralize Pattinson, which is what we don't know. MSGT, DCU is going to quickly turn into the one MCU. You don't get great movies like Joker forcing on one fit recipe. Well, let's talk about that, MSGT. If the movies are focused on as movies, but they're continuing one story, actually, it could still work. So I'm not convinced it can't work. Like The Rock said, we don't want to be like the MCU, but they basically what we can decipher here is they want one universe spanning one story through multiple platforms. And I kind of like that idea. Don't forget, we've tried the whole Snyder thing. We've tried it and it didn't work for the masses. We tried kind of focusing on films, making them great, but not necessarily having an expansive franchise. The Legend CJ, this whole Batman situation is complicated with all these Hamada movies coming out. No, the Legend CJ, they're not, because once we're done with the Hamada movies, we move on to the brand new DC universe. John Haymick, what have I missed? Well, there are your headlines there, John, and we're just talking about it, and you're more than welcome to get involved with the conversation. Isaac Cruz Pineda, wait, is Keaton's Batman is set to appear on Aquaman? Right. Isaac, we don't know. We don't know. I don't mean to be snappy, but we just don't know. Now, Jason Momoa teased that maybe Batfleck and Keaton will both be in Aquaman and Lost Kingdom. But he also said, maybe, maybe not. And he teased Ben Affleck for that movie. So we simply do not know. The Legend CJ, Shazam is a perfect example of having its own story in a connected universe. It works, right? Doesn't it work? Work for me. TY, I think Phoenix Joker is probably only getting this sequel and that'll be it for that version. We don't know. We don't know though. If that film makes over $1 billion, my friend, it's about money. It's about money at the end of the day. It depends on the success. So I'm not convinced that's it for that. Basically, Phillips is going to keep on making villain movies, DC Black Label movies. He's not going to stop if they make money. Jesus Christ, these notifications are really getting on my nerves. Right. TY, no. Isaac Cruz Pineda, unless the Joker 2 gets a lot of money. Yeah, it's about money. It's about money. But it's not just about Phoenix's Joker. This is Todd Phillips' Black Label. And basically, Joker 2 is the next villain movie. The next villain movie is basically Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn. And of course, Joker started all this off. So he's back and he's telling a musical love story about Harley and the Joker. And apparently it's a really dark musical as well. And I like these kind of things because they're unconventional and you can't really call what kind of movies they're going to be. So, yes, lots going on. And, you know, there are your headlines. We can talk about any of it. If you've heard other stuff that I haven't mentioned, again, mention it so we can talk about it. Isaac Cruz Pineda, would it be possible somehow to integrate the Joker cast into the new DCU? It would be possible, but again, it's up to Todd Phillips how he feels about that, because Matt and Todd always wanted their own bubble universes, right? So I don't know. The Legend CJ, has James confirmed it yet if the DCU is something new? Well, when he responded to fan campaigns the other week, he said, we are focused on the new DC universe. New universe. He called it New Universe. Go and check his tweet from over a week ago. The Legend CJ has, you know, we've been there. So listen, I don't know if it's a fresh start. I don't know if it's a new timeline from the Flash movie, but basically, some way it's new. It's a new direction. It's a new thing. So what's in the DCEU doesn't necessarily. A lot of you are making assumptions that what happens next year in the DCEU is going to be carried forward. Not necessarily. We've got to start thinking that this is a new beginning. Gunn and Safran have almost completed their Bible. This is definitely a new universe, for sure. The DCEU is done. It's done. Whether they start again from scratch or they jump to a new timeline via Flashpoint, the DCEU, as we know it, is done. Isaac Cruz Pineda, rest in peace, DCEU. Yeah, look, exactly. You know, some great movies in there. It didn't work commercially. The DCEU, let me repeat this. The DCEU didn't work commercially. I love a lot of the movies. God, I repeat myself every day. But it didn't work commercially. This is not a charity. The Legend CJ, I'm glad we're not going Zack's direction. He would have killed Batman off in another Justice League movie and then reset. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, and he also was planning on using like Clark and Lois's kid as the next Batman. TY, none of us really know what will happen. It's so early. It's definitely a new creative direction, though, for sure. Isaac Cruz Pineda, Zack's version was truly a nightmare timeline. John, Jessica Chastain is teasing an annouement to her. Could she be playing Poison Ivy? No, because she didn't say it. Did she even mention DC within that conversation? I mean, she could be playing Poison Ivy, but I doubt it. But she has worked with WB a lot lately. So, look, I'm not going to... Look, John, you should know me. I never dismiss anything, but she could be announcing literally anything. We wait with bated breath. Chastain is a really good actor, so I wouldn't be against her being Poison Ivy. I have my doubts. Definitely, I mean, in the DC universe, maybe, but I think Matt Reeves would probably cast a black Poison Ivy, if I'm being honest. Because Matt Reeves is that way inclined. You look at what he did with the Batman. We've got a black Jim Gordon. We've got a black Catwoman. So I would think we would get a black Poison Ivy in the Batman bubble. That's how I see that. Don't mind, don't care. As long as it's a good actor, not a problem to me. But we will see. We will see. So there's a lot going on. So it's pretty clear. Some big announcements coming by the end of this year. And I think we could have a mini slate announced. They want to start hitting the road. They don't want to take, they want to announce things. They want to say, we're doing this, we're doing that. They want to make it clear what they're doing going forward. And I think that kind of uncomplicates the situation. If you know, right, these films are happening, these first 5 movies are happening, right? Or these first 10 movies are happening in our first slate. That's it. And as we go forward, we find out who's playing Batman. We find out who's this and that and the other. Isaac Cruz Pineda, black woman with ginger hair. Anyway, Isaac, we move on. So this is Movies TV Mad, and there's lots of headlines out there today. And Mr. Terrific was a great tease again from James Gunn. I like Mr. Terrific. I like the fact he's going to use people that never been used before. That's important. That's exciting. Bring it on. We'll see what happens. Lots of rumours about casting for that as well. Most of the rumours are absolute bullshit, but we will see. Franklin, hi, hello. The Legend CJ, if you were in charge of phase one, what movies would you have? Well, we're getting a Superman movie. We're getting a Constantine movie. That's for sure. We would definitely have a Green Lantern movie. But you know what? It depends on the plan. I mean, I did come out with my own slate a week or so ago. But you could Green Lantern, Cyborg. You could do. There's lots of different things that you could do. Obviously, you could have something like a Plastic Man movie if you wanted to have a lighter movie there. But there's so many DC characters. There's so many DC things you could do. So, I could pluck up many characters. You could have a Lobo movie. It depends what arc they're doing. I wrote down my slates and my arcs a couple of weeks ago, and I read them out on this channel. Isaac Cruz Beneda, where does Saslav say he didn't want for Batman's what platform? Right, it's a report. It's all over Twitter. I think it's via the Hollywood Reporter. I can't find it, but it's been said. It's a definite thing. He doesn't want four Batmen. He's been quoted. It's a fact. John, what would you do, Mick? Use Robert Pattinson Batman or recast? That's an interesting one, John. I said earlier, basically, if it was me, I would go to Matt Reeves and ask if he's willing to have his universe as part of the central universe, right? That my preference, as we've already got a young, vibrant Batman whose story we've just begun, it's not rocket science to bring him into the central universe. But if Matt doesn't want that, I'm fine with that too. Then we have two Batmen. The Batman universe, and we have the central Batman. But personally, I think that Zaslav, Gunn, and Safran want one universe. They don't want two of each character. This is something that Hamada wanted to do, and it gets a bit complicated at the end of the day. Now, Gunn did mention the multiverse when he responded to the fan campaigns in the tweet where he talked about a new universe. So who knows? The Legend CJ, would you want a young Dick Grayson as Robin or an established one as the leader of the Teen Titans? Well, again, you can actually go either way. Having an established Dick Grayson leading the Titans would be very exciting, kind of already being done on television. So personally, I think I would start with a younger Robin, personally, but we'll see what they do. You can still have Teen Titans without him, by the way. I do like the idea of Robin and Bruce having this kind of adopted ward. But the thing is, because Batman's quite young at the moment, so I don't know if that would work straight off if we're talking about the Batman or if we're talking about the new Batman. Isaac Cruz Beneda, I want someone doing what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman, but with Superman, expanding it and the characters in Metropolis. Well, I'm sure they will be looking to doing that because they're very ambitious. They've nearly finished their Bible. So I'm sure there's big plans for Superman. There's big plans for all these characters. So, I mean, James Gunn really likes the unknown characters. And this is what you're going to get as well. You're going to get a lot of the smaller characters in their own movies, in other people's movies. It's a proper shared universe. John, and if they recasted Batman, that would probably take a long time. No. I know what you're saying, and yeah, you know what I think. But if Matt isn't up for that, then they will have to recast. But at the end of the day, right, James will have ideas, Peter will have ideas. It won't take that long. And at the end of the day, they've got other movies they can do. We've got a Batman universe anyway if they have to recast, so it's not really a big deal. We've got representation for Batman anyway, whether he's involved in the Pocket universe or in the DC universe. TY, you could introduce Robin in the Batman movies and the other Titans as sidekicks in other movies, like Donna Troy in a Wonder Woman movie, then team them up in a Titans movie. Yeah, well, this is what they should have done with Rachel Ziegler. They should have made her that character. Donna Troy does need to be introduced because, you know, I actually assumed that maybe Rachel was playing Donna Troy, and in the end of the movie, when Wonder Woman turns up, she takes her with her. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. But I think the Hamadaverse wasn't forward-thinking enough to do that type of thing. The Legend CJ, any one actor will jump at the chance at playing Batman if they wanted to. Isaac Cruz Pineda, Matt Reeves said he didn't want to be part of the old DCU. Hopefully, after speaking with James Gunn and Zaslav, he has a change of heart. You got it right. Let me take you to the history. Isaac, stay there because I'm going to come back to you. Kal-El Reeves Batman should be kept separate. Sean Frank, I don't mind either way. Sean Franklin, you think Margot Robbie should come back as Harley Quinn? Well, I would assume so, but who knows, right? So, well, yeah. This is the story of Matt Reeves, right? Matt Reeves was asked to come in and direct Ben Affleck's The Batman movie, right? But he said he didn't want to do that. He wanted to do his own Batman, didn't want to be part of the DCEU. He clearly didn't like what the DCEU was because it was a fucking mess. He wanted to start his own thing. I don't blame him. Now there's proper leadership there and it's all changed, Matt might be more interested in getting involved with the central universe. But if he doesn't want to do that, I'm fine with that as well. Personally, I'd rather just one version of each character for now. But hey, I'll go with it. Kal-El, Margot is not a good Harley. When you watch her in other films, you realise she lacks range. Yeah, I mean, really, there's only one range, isn't there, really? And I don't want to come into it. T.Y., merging Pattinson into the new DCU could cause issues. What issues? T.Y., as Robbie and Coogan aren't connected. Right. They're not connected, right? But don't forget, we're heading to a brand new DC universe. So anything's possible. Coogan may not even be Reeves' main Joker. That just could be a cameo, right? We don't actually know who the proper Joker would be. So we don't know what the new DC universe is going to look like. So we need to stop making assumptions. We're looking at the old setup and thinking that's going to be a thing in the new universe. That may not always be a thing. They may be changing actors. Who knows? We don't know how ambitious this is going to be. Isaac Cruz Pineda, how? TY. So, yeah, because we don't know if this is a complete restart or a semblance of what was going on in the DCEU, but not completely. A timeline that's born from the Flash movie, maybe. Because we don't know exactly what's going on, I always warn you, don't make assumptions because it's important to understand we don't know what they're thinking. So until they make certain announcements, it's very difficult to kind of say, yeah, but if they do that, they can't do that. Well, we're not making the rules. I'd love to see what's in this Bible. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I could see Phoenix as Pattinson's Joker. I think really that's the common sense thing if it's allowed to happen and Joaquin actually wants that. Isaac Cruz Pineda, that'd be cool. It would be cool, but again, you've got, Phoenix is a very independent actor. I don't know if he'd want to be tied into a franchise. It's interesting. That's like Matt Reeves. Does he want to be tied into the main franchise? That's not how he was talking before, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Again, very difficult to gauge. But I'm open to everything because I trust the people there. They look like they genuinely want to do something exciting. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I'm sure Pattinson would love to be the main DCU Batman. I'm sure he would. Unfortunately, it's not up to him. It's really up to Matt Reeves. It's up to the studio. It's up to James Gunn. It's up to Peter Safran and David Zaslav, Mike DeLuca and Pam Adby. TY, not a fan of Phoenix's Joker personally. Feel like the Joker in name only. Well, that's because you're looking at it one-dimensionally. You're wanting kind of this comic book thing. But he's an Elseworld Joker. Now, maybe that wouldn't work in the central universe, but I think it's a very fresh take, original take, at the Joker, but not necessarily the Joker that you know. So again, we don't know if he is coming into the Central Universe, so you may not have to worry about it, eh? Basically, you've got to think of the DCU as a brand new thing. Brand new thing. You've got to start thinking that the DCEU is kind of irrelevant, that next year's films may kind of be irrelevant. Isaac Cruz Pineda, what do you think could have been said in the phone between James Gunn and Matt Reeves? Because the tweet not so long ago, he said Matt was the first person he contacted. Well, don't forget, it could have been just a courtesy call. Hi, Matt, just started work, just thought I'd say hi. And that could have been it. The flow. Pattinson doesn't have Pattinson doesn't have the charisma to be the DCU Batman leading a team. Oh, I don't agree with that. And does he have to lead the team? Can Superman be the leader? I think so. T.Y. Phoenix is definitely original and Elseworlds. It's well done, just not my cup of tea. Kal-El, isn't it a bit hacky to copy Marvel's formula of a connected universe? DC is a different animal. The potential for this to fail is high. Well, the other way has already failed, Kal-El. That's the thing. And are you saying just because Marvel had a connected film universe, no one should do it? So because Coronation Street was the first televised soap opera back in 1960, all these other soap operas should never have been made. It's the same thing. What you're saying has no context to it. There's no rationale to it. The Legend today, do you think a lot of the general audience will get confused of this reboot? Not if it's, listen, right? When they make their announcements, we'll know. So it's either going to be a new timeline spinning off the Flash movie, or they're totally starting again. I don't think it's rocket science to understand that. And if better films are made and people can enjoy themselves, they won't give a shit. But I can see what you're saying there. This is why I keep on talking about we need clarification. Isaac Cruz Pineda, Batman is just beginning. He's going to build up to that charismatic man, the flow. I mean, I thought he was perfect. I felt Batman vibes. He was cool. He works for me. So, yeah, I like Robert Pattinson. I don't have an issue about Robert Pattinson, but we don't know he's going to be the main Batman anyway. Abraham Herrera, I think The Flash will be restructured. Well, according to the Flash Film News, who I think know absolutely nothing, they reckon not many changes have been made. It could be a case that the DCEU doesn't matter. We finish the 4 films next year. We start again with DC Universe. Or the Flash movie, which was originally going to happen, sets up a new timeline. One of the two. T.Y. Pattinson had a great arc going from vengeance to hope. Brilliant. Brilliant. It felt like, it felt like Superman the movie, but for Batman, the way they did it. But yeah, it was brilliant. Once he realizes that these villains have used him as an inspiration, that totally disgusts him. And I love the way he jumps down and he helps the ordinary folk. It's brilliant. The Legend CJ, all I want is that Batman and Superman friendship, no more fighting against one another. Exactly. And they're not going to go down that direction because they've seen that direction. They've seen it destroy an entire fucking franchise. Isaac Cruz Pineda, they need to get Pattinson in this. As I say, it's up to Matt Reeves, what he wants. He started off in a bubble universe. Maybe he wants to keep it like that. Maybe he's open to joining the DC universe, the main timeline. Who knows? Who knows? Isaac Cruz Pineda, both Pattinson and Cavill are similar in age and can play their characters for a long time. Kal-El, DC has always made standalone universe films to huge success. It's only since Marvel's connected universe that everyone wants it for DC for some reason. Well, here's the thing, Kal-El. Obviously, the Marvel formula makes a hell of a lot of money. That's why Zaslav wants to copy and pattern that. It's about money. They're a business. Now, DC have never gone down that direction. They kind of tried that direction under Snyder. Didn't work because that was a connective franchise at the beginning. You can actually make good films and have a connective tissue. It don't have to be, exactly like Marvel. John, did you hear that the Batman has been nominated for Best Soundtrack? Yes, and it's a brilliant score as well. The Legend CJ, I don't understand why they don't copy the same concept as DC animation. easily those storylines are far beyond anything Marvel has. Yeah, I mean, look, the DC animated, the DCAU is absolutely fantastic. And I wouldn't be against that for sure. And we don't know if they're not looking at that as an example. TYWB could have made World's Finest movie back in the 90s with Reed and Keaton. They own all their IP, unlike Marvel originally. That's true. But there's lots of titles comic book franchises or comic book studios could make. You can't just throw all of them all at once. They decided not to do it, but they could have done that, yeah. World's Finest is something the fans have wanted for a long time. And again, would love to see that. TYWB, no, read that, the flow. We as DC fans deserve an interconnected universe. Why not? Like the comics. So in the comics, you get these arcs, but you also get Elseworlds and different things as well. So you can actually have the best of both worlds. This was the discussion I was having this morning when we were talking about Constantine 2 going hard R. You can have a light Superman movie. You can have a dark Constantine movie. You know, it doesn't have to be just dark or just light. It can be a mixture, and that can work. Kal-El, it's not the Marvel formula, it's more a Disney formula, and in the process, characters lose their qualities. But you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. It's the way you execute it. And in the early days of the MCU, Tony Stark had bags of personality. Same with Captain America. Same, you know, it actually works. So I don't agree with you there. I do not want to see this for DC. Look at Hulk and Thor. They've been destroyed. But that's execution. It's not necessarily the shared universe formula that's done that. That's Feige's execution of those characters because he's decided to destroy every male character and uplift the female ones because he doesn't seem to know how to make great female characters. So he has to execute both the male and female characters creatively badly. It's all about execution, not the concept you seem to be against. Kal-El, yeah, in comics and animation, it's good because you're catering to hardcore DC fans. But this on film is catering for a wider audience. And the wider audience love the shared universe, my friend. The flow, I trust Gunn to take the goods of MCU and exclude the bads of MCU. So do I. TY, the new DCU can actually improve upon the MCU by having more varied tones, which I think is the plan. A lot of MCU movies feel too similar in tone. Yeah, they don't steer too far away from what works for them. Kal-El, so compromise will happen. I think compromise is good because you are working, don't forget, on the studio's money, on the studio's IP. So there has to be respect, both sides. Snyder didn't believe in that. He believed in my way or the highway. That doesn't work with a big studio. Isaac Cruz Pineda, we have all the resources to surpass Marvel in the cinematic world. Well, I agree, but my focus isn't on surpassing them. It's focusing on DC and doing the right things. The flow, you cannot satisfy anyone, Kal-El. You can only do your best. Well, I think you should. Your goal should always be to try and please everyone. You'll never please everyone, but the moment you stop trying to please everyone is the moment you stop trying. The more you try and please everyone, the more people you please. It's a business, right? They know what people want, and people want so many different things. It's so difficult, but try. You want to do what works. It's not necessarily about what people want and demand. You as a creative know what's going to work, you know, and us, right, or you, because I write, I produce, I act, I know about these things. You don't really know what would work. You just know what you want to see in live action. There's a big difference. So you can satisfy people if you focus, you use your experience within the industry. And James and Peter can do this, and everyone at WB, right? Let's just look at these people. Peter Safran has produced multiple DCEU movies, the good ones, right? James Gunn is with Guardians 3 has made 3 Marvel comic book movies. He's done 2 projects with DC. And, you know, I don't know about the 3rd Guardians movie, but I've been pretty impressed with him. The flow, let's be honest, a big chunk of success of Marvel is linked to their critic scores. The flow, the reason they get the good critic scores is because they tick the boxes. They tick the boxes that people like, right? So the way critics score films is different how we score films, right? We just go there, eat our popcorn, want to have some fun. They don't look at it like that. So, yes, obviously, right, they've got this cohesive universe and the critics like that. But that's not just the main reason why they're successful. People like what they do. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I had a little discussion with Boba Talks about Zaslav not wanting for Batman on Twitter. He really believes it's highly unlikely that Pattinson will be the DCU Batman. Should I tell you why he thinks that? Because he doesn't want that. Now, Boba could be right. I like Boba. I respect Boba's platform. I think he's a lovely lad, and he's definitely genuinely in love with DC, especially Batman and that universe. I mean, I've been watching him since he's been reviewing Gotham. He's a good lad. So we can all have great takes and like different stuff and still be mates, right? Now, he's probably right that Matt Reeves, the way we know Matt Reeves, he probably wouldn't want to do this. But I think there is a 25% chance that Reeves could join the Central Universe Party. But I think from what Boba knows and what I know, it is unlikely that Matt Reeves would be okay with that. But who knows what kind of discussions and what creative freedom he still gets. So if they could have come to a compromise, it could happen. But I totally understand where Boba's coming from. But I also feel that Boba definitely wants it to stay in its own bubble. Kalel, Disney is the reason why Marvel is popular. And unfortunately, Marvel lost their identity because of this. Well, no, Disney's not the reason why Marvel is popular. Iron Man is a really good superhero movie. Thor is a really good superhero movie. Captain America, the first Avenger, is a really good superhero movie. The Incredible Hulk, I'll go on. Avengers, Assemble, the first Avengers film, a really awesome superhero movie, right? Iron Man 3 is not the best of superhero movies, but it's hugely entertaining, a bit like Black Adam, kind of a similar thing. If you think about it, right? It's about what these people did was come up with something that worked. Take the TV series concept and take it to movies, and it works. That's why it's popular. People like the cameos. People like the references. People like the post-credit scenes. What they did works. Comic book stands like it. Kalal, Disney is the reason. No, I've already read that. So I think we have to give some credit to Marvel, right? I'm not the biggest of Marvel stans or nothing, but we can't just shit on them. We have to understand, right? They may not make great movies. They're not making, the Dark Knight Rises or Joker, but what they're doing works for them. And the world building is the biggest key to Marvel's success. The Flow 4-4 was really bad, but got higher scores than Black Adam. Not fair. Well, let me explain to you, right, why Thor Love and Thunder made more money. Thor Love and Thunder actually does have a plot, right? With what they did with Jane and Thor and all of that. They had some emotional elements. I think Black Adam had less emotion and deeper storytelling elements, and it was just like, we're just going to entertain you, and that's it. That's why critics didn't like it. And, the MCU has got, as I keep on saying, has got consumer loyalty and confidence. That's the difference. And it's understandable why that's the case. Isaac Cruz Pineda, because Marvel has the fans' trust. Exactly. And the DCEU kept on betraying the fans' trust. Isaac Cruz Pineda, and Thor is more recognizable in today's world than Black Adam, I believe. I don't think it's about recognizability. It's about making something that people say, wow. People could tell this was a condensed film put together, squeezed together and hoping for the best. I enjoyed the movie. I said it in my review, and I enjoyed it. But the film does have issues. Kalel, Black Adam is CD tier in DC. I don't think the tier matters because James Gunn has proven it, and the MCU have proven it. If you execute something brilliant, even if it's Iron Man, who wasn't that popular to begin with, right? It works and it makes money. It's the execution, right? So you can take a popular character like Superman, right, and it doesn't quite do the box office, or Batman or the Suicide Squad made good money, and it's a messy film, but it made money because people like the idea of Joker and Harley being together in this twisted relationship. I think that's what attracted people there. Then you had Will Smith, which was huge for that Suicide Squad movie as well. So I don't think Z tiers really matter. That doesn't affect anything. Why did Birds of Prey flop? The Birds of Prey are really, really popular with DC fans. They've been wanting that comic adapted for a long time. But the execution was embarrassing because the wrong people were involved for the wrong reasons. Isaac Cruz Pineda, how hard do Birds of Prey flop, Mick? I think it made about 200 million at the box office. It was pretty bad. Listen, it was a disaster. It was a disaster. It did better on HBO Max, but it wasn't made to be successful on HBO Max. Money was spent on it so they could make some money in movie theatres, and this was just prior to the pandemic as well. So no excuses there. Hello, I think it does matter that Peacemaker, for example, nobody really knows him, so Gunn can alter his character to no backlash. Well, listen, exactly right. Yes, you've got a point, but it does. Let me explain to you something, right? It doesn't matter what the character is, Kal-El. If you take a character, right, and you do the right things with him, right, so you can alter Peacemaker, you can alter Vigilante because it's not as well known, right? People love Vigilante in Peacemaker. But, for example, like with Superman in 1978, Donna said, we're not messing with this icon because he's Superman. You can't change who Superman is, right? So Donna embraced who Superman was, and it worked, and it was done beautifully. And this is what you do. So with the really famous ones, you're right. You can't mess with them as much as you can with the unknown ones. But that's what common sense and intellect is about. So basically, Gunn deserves credit for that, for understanding that. The Flow, I would love to see a director cut of Black Adam with more screen time. Kal-El, Bop and Black Mask, and they ruined him. Therefore, it failed. Well, the Black Mask thing, he was supposed to be a toxic male. He's an example. Basically, let me explain to you why they hate males in Hollywood, right? Because most of the men working in Hollywood, especially the big executives, right? They abuse women. They take advantage of women. They use their power over women to get what they want over them. So when they're talking about bad men, they're not really talking about us. They're talking about the bad men in Hollywood, right? And this is the problem. But the problem is when they talk, they don't talk like that because they can't. So it's all in code, but it sounds like, you hate me, but that's not how it works. John, and the same person who done the Birds of Prey writing The Flash, she's written The Flash, yeah. And when Ben Affleck read that script when they were trying to talk him into coming, he couldn't stop laughing his fucking arse off and said, right, I'll do it, but my lines I'm writing myself. So listen, this is Hamada. This is one of the reasons he's gone. Christina Hodgson was literally his go-to for DC. So it's insanity. So he didn't not everything Hamada did was bad, but yeah, and you could see what was going on. Replacing Superman with Supergirl, just nonsense. Bringing in a really old age, famous Batman to cheat with Batman rather than creating your own Batman if you couldn't or didn't want to use Affleck anymore. These are the problems. This was the problem with Justice League. They were trying to cheat. They were just trying to slap bright colours and smiles on everyone and hope for the best. But these people are going to build something from the ground up. It's why they're writing their own Bible. I don't think the DCEU ever had its own Bible. Let's do Man of Steel. Yeah. Let's get rid of Nolan and Goya. Yeah. All right, Zach, you're doing BVS. Yeah. There was never a proper plan. Kal-El, Margot ruined Suicide, whatever that is, SS Joker 2, because they removed the scenes of him hitting her. But in the comics, cartoons, this is their relationship. She wanted her feminized verse, and it failed. The Flow, James Gunn needs to work on a Green Lantern movie as soon as possible. Well, yeah, I think this is the problem, and I think this is going to really judge how I see the new, leadership, because they're talking about developing a Jon Stewart show. We've discussed this before. I don't want Jon Stewart on HBO Max. I want Green Lantern Corps to have a movie every 2 years and it to be part of the vision. I don't want it slapped on HBO Max. I don't like that idea. So that is kind of worrying. So we'll see there. I mean, I told James Gunn my plan. for Green Lantern Corps, and he liked it. I said, basically, Robert Downey Jr. as an old Hal Jordan, and then like John Stewart, this young black guy learning the ropes from Hal Jordan. I think Robert Downey Jr. would be absolutely perfect. And I said that James should direct it, and James liked that. That's when he used to respond to me. I upset a lot of people, as you see, because I'm very forthright. I'm very direct, and people don't like direct, honest people, I'm afraid. Isaac Cruz Pineda, Margot needs to go and Gaga needs to come in. I wouldn't argue with that. It could be very uncomfortable for Margot if Gaga does well, but we don't know. But if people actually really like Gaga as their character, then yeah, and because Lady Gaga isn't just a great singer; she's a really good performer. She's a very talented lady. So yeah, and for her to be playing this character is huge. I'm surprised more people aren't making more of a fuss of her being involved. I mean, the woman's an icon, right? Kal-El, I don't want Gaga either, musical, comic book, movies. But this is the thing, Kal-El. I know what you want. We won't get into it. But as we make more and more comic book movies, we need to look at executing them in different creative, artistic ways. I mean, you're a Snyder fan. You believe in directors having the freedom. So why can't Todd Phillips have the freedom to do a comic book movie that's a musical? This is where the inconsistency comes in. The flow, that would be groundbreaking with RDJ as Green Lantern. Yeah, it'd be a great Hal Jordan. Isaac Cruz Pineda, you've got to stimulate your mind, Kal-El. Yeah, well, unfortunately, there's only one director that Kal-El wants, and that's the problem. There's the bias. Kal-El, what is the source material for a Joker musical? Right, let me explain it to you slowly. Right, so basically the idea of the musical is that Harley sees her feelings and relationship with Joker as a musical, right? And if you actually look at Harley, you can understand why. It's very similar to what James did when she sees all the different colours come up as she's shooting those men. Kal-El, that's false. I like an array of directors, but you do have a bias to Snyder, don't you? Be honest, though. Be honest. I'm not saying he's the only director you like, but Kal-El, you're biased. Isaac Cruz Pineda, you've got to have a more open mind, Kal-El. Well, Kal-El can have any opinion he wants. This is what we have channels like this, so people can state their opinions, but we are moving away from Zack Snyder. We are moving away from the old DCEU. And you can state your opinion for or against that, but you ain't changing it. We are moving to new territory. Whether this territory works or not, we simply do not know because we haven't started with the new territory yet. All we can do is hope for the best and discuss it and get hyped for it. And hopefully their intentions are honourable. They're desperate to make money. They're desperate to be successful. And that's why I think the intentions are honourable to make some good shit, at least at the beginning. The flow with James Gunn at helm. What are the chances of Dave Bautista being DCEU's Bane? Well, there's always a chance. I think people need to look beyond him as Bane, but people are obsessed with their fan castings. TY, if Reeves did a version of Harley in the Arkham show, Shep Ganselic's book, Harley would be a great basis. Isaac Cruz Pineda. Oh, Dave looks like a good Bane. Looks and physically, but has he got the acting prowess? Kal-El, do you have a bias towards Gunn? No. And if you've been watching me for a long time, you know I don't have a bias towards Gunn because I don't have an icon of James Gunn. I don't kiss it before I go to bed. But he is the leader of DC, my friend, and he's calling the shots as well as other people. So no, I don't have a bias, but you do have a bias towards Snyder. This is why you're mostly anti what's going on right now. So, you lot talk about Zack having his freedom away from him, but you don't think Todd Phillips should get to make a musical Joker sequel or a Black Label movie, right? Game City Savior, Smallville fan here. You can finally read my comments now. Yes, why couldn't I read your comments? I don't know why. Or did I block you for some reason? I don't know. Were you a naughty boy? I should always be able to read your comments. Yes, so I'm a big Smallville fan as well. So talk Smallville by all means. Freshen it up a bit. Freshen out the conversation. It's been a busy night tonight. Yeah, 12 views and a bunch of comments is a busy night for me. So you may laugh, 12 viewers, big deal, Meg. That normally I've got like 5. So yeah, people are excited tonight because there's been a bit of news. They're your headlines. Only one Batman in the DC Universe. DC Universe Bible almost complete. Mr. Terrific teased by James Gunn. Batgirl in the Batman because she was referenced in the script book, which has been released for the Batman. And I even think there's more headlines than that. I just can't remember them. I actually had to write those down before I put them up, like 2 hours before I did the live. I like it, the Smallville. Game City say, no. Flo, what tone do you expect from James Gunn's DCU? I expect a variety of tones, Flo. So it's not going to be all dark or all light. Some films will be dark. Some films like Constantine 2 will be harder. Some films like Superman will be more family friendly. And that's what we want. A variety of tones in different movies. T.Y. Wait, where was the Batgirl reference? She's referenced in the Batman script book, but she wasn't actually referenced in the actual movie. Game City Savior got banned on and channel for clapping on a girl's singing. You've totally lost me. Game City Savior, I like the Smallville from the bonus feature. This is Movies TV Band. I'm Mick, your host with the most. We are live on a Tuesday night. I've got my sleeves rolled up because we're getting some business done tonight and we're talking DC. We're talking about the future. And James Gunn just continues to tease. Lobo, Dead Man, now Mr. Terrific. What's next? Kal-El, all this hangs on Superman. If the next appearance of Superman is totally different from MOS, it will fail. No, not at all. Not at all. Because you could argue that MOS actually failed. I love the film, but they wanted $1 billion. It made just under 700 million. So, I don't know. I don't understand there, Kal-El. Why? If it's different to a failed movie, well, is it going to fail? Right? You've heard what Henry said. He wants a more joyful Superman. He doesn't want a mournful Superman. He's saying this for a reason. The flow, with James Gunn giving the scoops, people like Grace Randolph are outplayed. That's why he does it. He wants to be in control of the narrative. And at the end of the day, that's quite right too. Excuse me, I'm writing to my girlfriend. Because if I don't reply to her, trouble. Right, where are we? Isaac Cruz Pineda, if Pattinson was included into the DCU, I'd assume he'd get contact with Superman or other heroes by the 3rd or 4th movie. Maybe before. TIY, so in Reeves' script for the Batman, Barbara is referenced in line sequence that didn't make it in the film. Correct. Kal-El, Justice League no. Justice League was a lazy attempt to chuck colour and smiles to try and reach the MCU formula. This is a brand new take with its own Bible. They're going to use multiple amounts of DC characters we haven't seen before. It's going to be vast and it's going to be exciting. So, no, it's not like Justice League at all. Game City Savior, I like the Smallville I meant. Kal-El, everyone underestimates the audience that loved MOS and BBS. It wasn't a niche independent audience. Well, I think it was a niche audience. A lot of people who saw Man of Steel fans say, I never liked Superman before Man of Steel. That kind of waves a few red flags for me. Isaac Cruz Beneda, the new Superman, I have a feeling it will be bright in colourful because of Superman's suit at the end of Black Adam. He's going to be more accurate to how we always have known Superman. Man of Steel made 750. Batman versus Superman, a film, right? A film that had two of the biggest characters in DC, made 850 when the studio wanted 2 billion. That was their Spider-Man No Way Home. And it didn't even make $1 billion. I like BVS, but the 850 ain't no evidence of popularity. Callow, the Superman suit was from MOS. Cavill stated this, but it's a brighter colour, isn't it? The MOS suit is slightly darker. Wouldn't you agree? Reno Jack, good day, sir. How are you? What did I miss? Well, I've been live for an hour, so I can't fill you in what you missed, but they're the headlines. I've pinned it up there. That's what we've been talking about. That's what you've been missing. That's what we've been discussing. Isaac Cruz, Beneda, don't forget the hairstyle, Mick. It's different than MOS. It's a proper, more accurate to what Superman's hair is. This is what Henry wants. He wants a more lighter, fun, joyful Superman. John, Wartime Arda has joined Paramount. Good luck, Paramount. The flow. Callow, I am also a big Snyder fan, but we are heading to different direction. Let's give James Gunn a chance. Zack Snyder made 3 brilliant DC movies. It didn't work as a commercial franchise, but the movies were brilliant. And yes, we have to move on because there's no choice. These are the people leading things because they want commercial success. Why is that, everyone? Because they're a business. So the best way to get commercial success is to actually, do something great, which I think they're proposing to do. Hello, my stance at the moment is Gunn has to convince me. Fair enough. He has to convince me as well. He has to convince all of us. He hasn't done anything yet in terms of this new universe. Let's see. But I like what he does. I like how he teases stuff. But it's all about the execution, as I said earlier. So I'm not going to say what he's doing is going to work and it's going to be awesome. I'm excited for it. But yes, he has to prove himself to all of us. He hasn't achieved anything yet in this job. So let's see. It's easy to tease and post pictures, but it's doing the work. It's the execution. And that's art. It's how you execute art. Reno Jack, as always, I do hope that the Reeves verse is standalone and not merged, but wow, I would love to see his take on Batgirl next to Pattinson. Yeah, it'd be interesting if he introduces her. It's considering what happened with Batgirl. He could use Leslie Grace, I suppose. That would kind of calm a lot of things down. So that would be interesting. And I would have more hope for Leslie being a good Batgirl under Matt than the other two guys and what Hamada was planning. Because clearly test audiences didn't like it. But we don't know. I mean, listen, we're making a lot of assumptions about the Pattinson verse, whether it stays in a bubble or comes and joins the party. Who knows? I believe that the people who are in charge of WB and DC Studios, their preference would be for everyone to be centralized. But it may not be possible with Phillips and Reeves. So, that horse is bolted in a way, I suppose, because they were allowed to start their own bubble universes. Reno Jack, Leslie Grace would make a lot of sense as far as the age and feel of the character. Reeves could do it right and tell a good story. Exactly. And people would be happy. Everyone would be happy. And I never wanted Leslie to lose her job. I've got nothing against Leslie. But at the end of the day, the studio had the privilege of being able to see the problems with it. So, and I didn't. I don't know what type of film it was. Kal-El, did you like the fantastical elements in Zack Snyder's Justice League? We actually had Batman fighting parademons on screen. This is an interesting situation, isn't it, Kal-El? Because like when they're fighting Doomsday, Wonder Woman and Superman can fight Doomsday, and kind of Batman's on the sidelines because there's some things he can't do. And I think there it wasn't really used properly. In a way, they kind of needed a human character that Batman could have fought at the same time. But I did enjoy it. I do enjoy, like the parademons. He can fight them. He can just about overpower them. So that's cool. Kal-El, yeah, I did know. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I wanted Batfleck to do more, though. I think that's what we were just talking about, wasn't it? Yeah. Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Oh. Well, so far, it looks like the Troublemakers are on somebody else's live tonight, but we've got just under an hour left, so who knows? Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? Game City Savior Leslie Grace needs to be Yara Flor instead of Batgirl. I think they'll give her something to appease the situation. I mean, obviously, it's forgotten about now. It's funny how people's offence and, anger is gone very quickly. Basically, if you work in the industry, you know that these things can happen. And just because these things happen, it doesn't mean it's nice or you feel good about it, but this is what it means to work in this industry. Kal-El, will Amy Adams return as Lois? At the moment, I think it's a 50-50 situation, isn't it? Who knows? Who knows? John, unfortunately, Batman could not do much against Doomsday and BVS. No, he couldn't. And that is rather problematic. I mean, really, if you think about it, and I'm going to get lots of shit for this, maybe we should have had a Wonder Woman and a Superman movie instead of a Superman and a Batman movie, maybe. Reno Jack, Leslie Grace as Jeffrey Wright's daughter in the Batman 2 or 3. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Everything works. They already casted her as a character. They clicked, someone kind of thought, yeah, why not? And, obviously, Wright is a person of color. I don't know if his wife or the mother of Barbara would be white or black or whatever. I'm not sure there. So there are different kind of ethnicities you can play on. For example, if his missus is a white woman, then, the daughter could end up being white. But I don't think that Matt Reeves, the way he casts, is going to cast the white Barbara Gordon anyway. Kal-El, I like the hierarchical aspects of the Doomsday fight. Each hero had their strengths and weaknesses. Kal-El, but work together is true. The flow, Patty Jenkins cannot screw Wonder Woman free like Wonder Woman 84. I hope James Gunn realizes that there has to be a quality threshold. She shouldn't even be directing Wonder Woman free. It's as simple as that. No other studio will touch her apart from WB. It's simply not on. I'm still hoping for a miracle that she doesn't do it. Honestly. Just like I'm hoping for a miracle that the Jon Stewart Green Lantern show doesn't happen. Isaac Cruz Pineda, how was Wonder Woman 84 messed up? Because Patty Jenkins was allowed to do whatever she wanted. The flow, because she's a woman. No, that's not why. That absolutely is nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with anything. I don't care if you're woman, man, or beast, but you gotta be able to do the job. Now, we gave her lots of credit for the first Wonder Woman movie, but now we can kind of tell that, who the credit belongs to, because we saw the differences between the first Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84. John, what happened to the Rogue Squadron movie? It's been binned because she's not very talented. She's probably all right with indie movies like Monster, but this is too big for her. Kal-El, a female director made American Psycho. That awesome. It isn't about being female or male. It's about your individual qualities. It's not about what box you're in, right? I don't care what gender you are, right? You could be the first transgender director. I couldn't give a shit. If it's in you and you have the art and you have the ability to, display that art beautifully, then good. I'll give you credit. I don't care who you are, what gender you are or non-gender, whatever. It's about you individually as a person and an artist. Kal-El, Paramount have hired Hamada today. I know. It doesn't really matter to me. Honestly, it's irrelevant. Reno Jack, talent should come first before gender ethnicity. Listen, it doesn't matter about your ethnicity, right? I know what the industry are trying to do is trying to make up for years of not, ignoring talented people of color, different minorities, women. So they're trying to over-egg the pudding with it, but they're not looking at the ability. They're just trying to tick boxes. This is where it's all going wrong. Kal-El, no trans directors, please. Why not? If they're talented enough, why does it matter that they're trans? The Flow, I mean, the reason she gets to keep her job after Wonder Woman 84 was because of gender politics. Ah, right. Well, that may be a thing, but you know what? I'm sure there's about 200 brilliant female directors out there who could do a much better job than her. So I don't mind if they get another woman, just a better director who can make our Wonder Woman kind of shine. Scott, so for now, should we as DC fans be hyping Scott Edwards up Shazam Fury of the Gods? As DC fans, you can hype up whatever you want. There are no rules. I'm very, very focused on the DCU rather than the DCEU. I am focused on the future and I'm excited. Kal-El, the Wachowskis changed genders and Matrix 4 was not good, but it's not because they changed genders, was it? That's on them. I mean, to be fair, even before they changed their genders, the two sequels they did weren't great. And I think one of them wasn't even involved. It was just one of them who did it. The Flow, Patty Jenkins directed and Zach helping with cinematography would be awesome. It would be, but unfortunately, Zach's not involved with DC anymore. So basically, if Zach's going to be involved, let him direct the Wonder Woman film. That's for me, that would be the best place for Zach. But I don't know. Personally, Patty Jenkins has proven she shouldn't be making Wonder Woman or huge blockbuster, huge studio movies. She's proven that. And people say, well, give her another chance. Well, we can't afford any more mistakes, right? Now, someone else is running the movie and she just directs it. The problem is she wants her own way on everything. And her way isn't the best way. That's the problem. Scott Edwards, her Star Wars movie got canned. It did, Scott. Thank fuck for that. Not that I'm past caring about Star Wars in a way, but yeah. John, maybe DC could use the Eternals director in the future. Chloe Zhao would be amazing with Wonder Woman. She did make that Eternals film look really nice. And I don't hate Eternals. I thought it was a unique movie. I don't think it was brilliant or anything. But I was kind of surprised it got the hate that it got. I think the progressive representation triggered some people, obviously, because that's the world we live in today. Personally, I judge a movie on what's in front of me rather than the messages going on in the publicity department at studios or what's said on Twitter or YouTube. I like to focus on what you've made, right? But unfortunately, that's the problem today, isn't it? Scott Edwards, is Spider-Man No Way Home the only Phase 4 movie you like? No, I like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think it's okay. What else? I thought Shang-Chi was okay. I liked WandaVision. That was cool. I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier, apart from some of the messaging, was pretty cool. Not that the message they were doing was wrong. It just became preached. So I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier was pretty cool as well. I thought Loki was solid as well. Moon Knight was good and bad at the same time. And I only got through 3 episodes of Miss Marvel. Didn't watch She-Hulk because she hates my gender. Scott Edwards, did you see Shang-Chi in theatres? No, I didn't. I don't watch MCU stuff in theatres. I think the last MCU film I saw in a theatre was probably Iron Man 3, if I'm being honest. This is Movies TV Mad. Our headlines are up there. Scott Edwards, unless it's big event film like Avengers, maybe. It's not, listen, when I think I have to go to the cinema, it's normally because of DC and not because of Marvel. I don't feel I'm missing out on anything in terms of Marvel now. There was a time I kind of enjoyed what they were doing, but now I'm just kind of bored of it. The Flow, would Zack be willing to execute someone else's vision for DCU? He has its distinct ideas, and this could conflict with James Gunn. Well, the problem with Zack is he wants his own way. It's his way or no way, and that's the problem with Zack. That's what happened with DC. He's not willing to bend at all, and that's no good when you're dealing with huge IPs and other people's money. You know, and you've got to be able to understand that you know, they need to make a profit. Then, you know, they're not charity. It's not a charity outfit, is it? Reno Jack, what is the last 3 movies you saw in the theatres and what were your thoughts on them? Black Adam, really enjoyable. I think, was it James Gunn's The Suicide Squad? I saw that, really enjoyable. It was during the pandemic. I sat in the cinema all on my own, had a great laugh out loud. I really enjoyed that. I can't remember the last one after that I went to see, to be honest with you. Scott Edwards, we should watch a show to support Dave Filoni. This series is his vision. Yeah, I'll probably watch that, yeah. Should be hardcore, for definite. The Flow, my favourite movie of the year was Top Gun Maverick. Pretty good movie, yeah. I don't think there was much to pick up. You know, it's not like we had many great movies this year, if we're being honest. I think Presley was the Elvis Presley movie. That's art. That's great. A very different type of biopic, which I thought was brilliant. I also really enjoyed I forgot what the movie's called now. Oh my God, I forgot what it's called. Really good director. Normally makes films for A24. It was kind of this revenge movie. Nicole Kidman. Skarsgård was in it, wasn't he? I think. The Northman. The Northman was so good. Was The Northman out this year? The Northman was I think The Northman was one of the best films I've seen in a long time. I really enjoyed The Northman. Reno Jack, one of the only movies I saw in theatres this year. So good. So good. It felt like an experience. Kal-El, a lot of views on Zack are pure hearsay. The smear campaign worked the treat. This happened before BVS. I remember the hatred. I thought, wow, it's the movie that I watched it and was blown away. Yeah, look, a lot of the hate for Zack since Watchmen has been bad, and it doesn't make much sense, if I'm being honest. I don't understand it. I think it's because of the way he makes movies, I don't know. I don't really understand why people hate him so much. But it is true. It is his way or no way. The Flow, imagine at the start of the year, we're all hyped that there would be 4 DC movies, but we only got 2. Supposed to be the year of DC. So much hyped. So much happened. Yeah, look, I was very angry that they changed it. I was so hyped for those 4 movies, the new plan, the new timeline. Clearly, with Zaslav coming in, they didn't want the Flash to change the future because they had another idea. And obviously the Ezra Miller stuff, obviously, but the whole delay thing kind of, I knew it was going to happen way before it happened. I knew it wasn't just about VFX not being ready. It was suspicious. I said it was suspicious. And everything I said came to pass. And people didn't like, as usual, what I was saying, spoke the truth. I knew the truth. And it was obvious. But it was gutting to lose that big year for DC. And it was embarrassing again. The Flow, Aquaman got pushed by 12 months. Crazy, yeah. And, you know, we're back to where we started a year ago. 4 movies in 1 year. Let's hope we actually get them this time. But I do feel that they want to get these Hamada movies out the way, so I do feel they will release them, hopefully. The whole thing was a mess, a terrible mess. And they literally only had 1 movie planned for 2023. So if these movies got released this year, all we would have really had, if they kept Batgirl, was Batgirl and Blue Beetle. So it wouldn't have been a very exciting year, would it? The whole thing is insane. You're watching Movies TV Mad, and I'm Mick, and welcome to the channel. Reno Jack, last year felt like Warner Brothers was being run out of somebody's basement. Yeah, very, very strange, yeah. And this is why it's in debt. This is why Zaslav has to make so many changes. And you can tell from what they're doing with DCU that these people actually know what they're doing. To know that these people are writing a Bible for the new universe, something that the DCEU never had, no plan. It didn't really have a plan. It didn't. They were literally making it up as they went along. Smash the like button if you haven't already done it. But yeah, the delay of the movies was very, very disappointing. You know, we were going to get Black Adam in the center of the year. Then they put like Super Pets in the summer and then moved Black Adam. It was all very dubious. Clearly, Black Adam was in a bad condition. So they needed to make changes to that as well. Thank you very much, Kal-El, for the like. Where are we? Reno Jack, imagine making a film franchise and not realize that storyline is the most key aspect. It was insane. It's not the way to. They were just making it up as they went along. From the moment they got rid of Nolan and Goya, it was all over. It was over. Then you allow the animals to take over the zoo. John, what are your thoughts on the It TV movie from the 90s? Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think it's probably the best version of that story, if I'm being honest. And we had Tim Curry in it. Always a plus to have Tim involved in anything. The flow. My most memorable DC news this year was Henry Cavill coming back as Superman after 5 years of Walter Hamada fighting to push him out. The situation with Henry and how they didn't want him didn't make sense, and I believe that Emmerich was involved. I think Emmerich was the one who didn't want him, and Hamada was following orders, or maybe it was Hamada. I don't know by now, but it was a really, really weird situation. Reno Jack, Tim Curry, Pennywise is iconic. Yeah, I mean, Tim Curry in Home Alone 2 is also iconic. Tim Curry, anything is iconic. But I do agree with you, Reno Jack. Tim Curry is a really, really interesting guy and a really talented actor. Wow, what a legend he is. I think he's the star of Home Alone 2. I think he's what makes Home Alone 2 so good. And I wish they used him in the third act more. The flow. James Gunn has to be transparent about what they are willing to do with Ray Fisher as Cyborg. Well, this is the beauty of a brand new universe. You don't actually have to use Ray Fisher if they feel he's a troublemaker and they don't want to deal with him. That's the difference, isn't it? You're not beholden to what you had in the DCEU. Reno Jack. Oh my God, Mick. Mick, the scene in Home Alone 2 when he sneaks into the room and gets scared off by the puppy in the shower. I would cry laughing as a kid. Yeah, he's so good. But there's so many good bits. My favourite bit with Tim Curry, one of them is when the family turn up at the hotel. And, you know, the mother goes, what kind of idiots have you got working here? And the woman goes, oh, the best in New York. Brilliant. And then Tim Curry keeps on telling her not to go out on her own. And she gives him a right old slap. And he sticks his lip out and he goes, do wrap up warm. Love it. The guy is a class act. I mean, it just shows you that John Hughes is a legend. He knew exactly what roles to cast. But Tim Curry made that movie. I tell you what, Macaulay Culkin, very lucky young man. He acted with some amazing cast members, both in the first movie and the second movie. The late, great John Candy, Tim Curry himself, Joe freaking Pesci, Daniel Stern. I mean, he probably didn't even appreciate the legendary people he was working with. Reno Jack, ha ha ha, wow, I'm laughing out loud thinking of that. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. Tim Curry's a legend. Tim Curry would be a great Alfred as well. He's probably too old now. But Tim Curry would have been a great Alfred. because he would have been funny as well. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, please like, share, and subscribe. At least like and subscribe. That would be really cool if you could do that. Hope you like what you see. We're not a flashy channel. We don't have flashy graphics. We don't have flashy noises. We say it how it is. We discuss what we love. We discuss our opinions, and we're very forthright on here. We don't do fancy titles. We don't have an opening sequence like a TV show. We're just bang, hello. Reno Jack, have you ever heard the voice of him as Joker in Batman the Animated Series? He was set to be the original before Hamill. No, I haven't actually, which is a shame. Kal-El, will Eisenberg be Lex again? I thought he was amazing. I don't think so, no. I don't think he will. I think his performance was very, very good. John, Tim Curry is most famous for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. He is. Reno Jack, they are on YouTube. Oh, right, I better check them out then. Tim Curry's amazing. Tim Curry would have actually been a great Joker in live action as well. Oh, my God, what a missed opportunity, eh? He would have been an amazing Joker. He may have even been one of the people. I think they were looking to cast him as Doctor Who when they were casting for Doctor Who, the movie. Can I remember Tim Curry as the demon in Legend? I didn't see that. We've got the suite ready for you. It's been vacated by the Countess of Worcester, you know. Reno Jack, he was also Nigel Thornberry in the Wild Thornberry's childhood classic. Wow, never saw that either. He's done a lot of shit. I was trying to get them on EastEnders to cast him as like this guy who runs a shop, bit of a gossip. I kind of thought he would have breathed some life into EastEnders. He's probably too important to be in EastEnders. But if I was running EastEnders, he'd definitely be involved. The man's a fucking icon. Hello, did you see the cameo of Donner's Jimmy Olsen in Zack Snyder's Justice League? Nice touch. Yes. Yes, we finally got the proper version. Yeah, he's great. Mark McClaw's brilliant. He also played a character called Dax in Smallville as a cameo. But yeah, that was cool. Very cool. Yeah, he was a brilliant Jimmy Olsen, by the way. Pretty well cast. In Man of Steel, we had a Jenny Olsen. Do you remember the rumours about Jenny Olsen? Kal-El Reeves will never be beaten. No, look. What he did, look, to cast someone who was so good as an actor and respected the myth and the legend. I was watching the 3-hour cut of the film today, and he's just so good. He's just so iconic. Kal-El, theatre actor. So much charisma and charm. Yeah, look, Christopher Reeve's charisma, talent as an actor. He just looked like Superman. He acted like Superman. It just worked. Then the ghost of that first Dick Donner movie looms over Superman. And one day someone's going to make the film, the next one that people will say, now we've got that Superman. Now we've got our own version, which is iconic. John, what are some of your favourite movie musicians? Mine is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You mean musicals, right? TV music, favourite movie musicals Or musicians. Mine Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from the 80s. On favourite movie musicians. Kal-El, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. Kal-El, my favourite musical movie is Moonwalker. Is that what you're talking about? Grease? Grease 2? Frozen? Let It Snow? No, it's not Let It Snow, is it? It's Let It Go. Let It Go. I watched Frozen and Frozen 2 the other day. Frozen 2 is pretty depressing, isn't it? I never watched Moonwalker, never. And there was so much hype around that, wasn't there, at the time? I'm old enough to remember Moonwalker. Yup. Hello, oh, Nate, already read that. And I'm always going to be a fan of Margot Kidder's Lois Lane, talking about Christopher Reeve. She was iconic too. Kal-El, will Hans Zimmer return to DC? Anything's possible. But who knows? Who knows? There'll be different, musical composers who do different movies. Hopefully we stick with iconic music that people will remember, like Zimmer, like Junkie. We don't go for these bland scores like we've had in the MCU that you don't remember. I mean, the Black Adam score was pretty brilliant, really good. I certainly rate Hans Zimmer as one of the best. Reno Jack, I thought the Batman score was solid. I loved the Batman score. I thought it was very good. I liked it. Especially the love theme for Selena and Bruce, or Batman. I thought that was brilliant. And something people didn't mention a lot at the time, but what they did in a way was the way he was more Batman than Bruce Wayne in that film. I really liked that. A bit like Man of Steel. He's more Superman than Clark in the movie. I loved the score for the Batman. It was a brilliant score. Dun, 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 dun. Love it. It was a brilliant score. John, I meant movie musicals. Sorry about that. No problem. Please smash the like button if you haven't already. It's been a great live tonight. Loads of comments. Few more viewers than usual. It's all good. It's all good, everyone. Welcome to Movies TV Mad. If this is the first time you're seeing my beautiful face, welcome. Like and subscribe, please. We talk about DC live action movies, television. We talk about movies and TV in general as well, whatever you want to talk about within the entertainment game. I'm also a Manchester United fan, so I talk about United sometimes. Love Doctor Who, so I talk about Doctor Who on here as well. So, yes, my knowledge on entertainment is second to none. Doesn't mean I know everything, but I know a lot of stuff. And I've been watching TV and film since I was a wee boy. I'm 50 years old, so I've seen quite a few things. Reno Jack, has anybody asked you about your thoughts on Ronaldo's comments about Ten Hag? Not tonight. Listen, I think I don't see what that interview does for him or the situation. I don't really understand why he's done it. Clearly, he knows he's going. There's rumours of the contract being terminated at the end of the week. I don't understand. He clearly is pissed off. Clearly, something's gone on. But at the end of the day, it looks like what's gone on is that Ronaldo couldn't dictate what happened, and Ronaldo got angry, so he wanted a bit of revenge or forced them into getting rid of him. I don't know, right? He will always be a legend. He will always be one of the best players in the world. What he did at Madrid and Manchester United was outstanding. That doesn't change. But this just, for me, this is embarrassing for him. This is embarrassing for him because it looks so juvenile. It seems vindictive and it seems pointless. I don't see who wins with this interview. His comments about Ten Hag are weird and ridiculous. What happens at the club should stay at the club. This is not how a professional footballer should conduct themselves. Whoever's at fault, it doesn't matter. So that's what I think about that. So, and you know, it's a 90-minute interview. He's releasing some of it tomorrow, Morgan. The only person who wins about this, the only person who wins from this interview is Piers Morgan himself and the network he's on. That's the only people who win. Maybe he's doing his mate Piers Morgan a favour. I don't know. John, I'm glad that the music from the Batman trailer was in the final movie because sometimes movies don't always use the music from trailers. No, they don't. And sometimes they use really good music in trailers. But yeah, I'm glad they used it. It was brilliant. Michael Giacchino, I've been a big fan of his since his Lost and Alias scores. I think he did Fringe as well. He's always been a great composer. It's great that he's getting to do different things like Star Wars, DC, Marvel, but he is really a great composer. I still think his Lost score is the best thing he's ever done. I don't think the Batman is really good, but I think his Lost score, especially for the first season, is sensational. And yeah, I don't think he's ever topped himself on that, but he's a really awesome composer. So Giacchino's got great quality. Or Giacchino, whatever. Michael Giacchino. Reno Jack, the score portrayed Batman as a horror-type character when facing henchmen and gang members. I thought it did well to show he's a perceived at the street level in Gotham. Yeah, I just think all the way round. I mean, the love theme, everything was great. John, do you know who does the Walking Dead music? Yes, it's Bear McCreary. And he does a few other shows as well. His name does pop up quite often. So I think you pronounce it Bear McCreary. He's an interesting composer. I'm not sure. I don't dislike his music, but it doesn't have its own signatures and personality to it. And it's quite understated at times. Because The Walking Dead don't use a lot of music, a lot of the times. I don't know if it's changed now. I haven't watched it since Rick left. Oh, yeah. Previously on AMC's The Walking Dead. I remember that was the #1 show in the world. Everyone used to be obsessed with it. Then suddenly people just didn't want to watch it anymore. That definitely went on too long. Definitely. Never overstay your welcome as a television show or a franchise of anything. MCU, you've been warned. Reno Jack, I stopped watching after season 5, but even that was too much. It was really, I always thought it was overrated. I liked it and I kept watching it until I think Rick left. But because he was my favourite character, I think he was most people's favourite characters. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. And a lot of people left when Negan first came in and murdered Glenn and I think another person. And that was very controversial. I wasn't triggered by that. I never liked Glenn that much. I thought he was a really dull character. I don't know why everyone was obsessed with him. But yeah, I think, listen, it was all right in the first few seasons, but ultimately the problem with the show and the concept is it never tries to investigate how the zombie apocalypse happened. It's not like Lost, where it's a conspiracies. You've got to find out why they got there, what the island's about. And that's really why I started watching The Walking Dead, because I was obsessed with that type of storytelling. But all it does is there's zombies, we're going to kill them. And you know what? They're so easy to kill the zombies on The Walking Dead. That's what makes it boring. I saw a film years ago called World War Z, or World War Z, as you Americans would call it, with Brad Pitt. Those zombies have got super speed. They're intimidating. It works. But the zombies in The Walking Dead, and this is one of the things that bored me in the end, too easy to kill. I don't want to see the characters having an easy time. And in the end, they were hanging out together. Oh, yeah, there's a zombie. I just kill one. It was too easy. And the zombies didn't become the main issue. It was the emotional kind of things which work, but ultimately, in the end, it does get boring if they're too easy to kill. Reno Jack, first 2-3 seasons were great. John Berthner was my favourite. John Berthel, I feel, was too good at his job because he was really, really unlikable as that character, weren't he? Reno Jack, the zombies got dumber over time too long. Yeah, too easy to kill. Go and watch World War Z and you'll see what zombies are actually like. This is what happens, right? When you get a show that's unconventional and not necessarily for the mainstream, although it did become a mainstream show, it's darker, it's more interesting. It's like Dexter. First 4 seasons, it's brilliant. Then they try and become more mainstream. So what do? They kill Rita and then decide that Rita didn't matter as a love interest to Dexter, and now it's all about Lumen, right? They fucked that show up because they tried to mainstream it up. Every time there's a good show and they try and mainstream it up, they fuck it up. I suppose this is the argument we're having tonight with the DCU. Should it be mainstreamed? Of course it should, because they want to make money. But The Walking Dead and Dexter were making more money before they went mainstream. That's the difference with that. Reno Jack, World War Z is cool and underrated. Brad Pitt film, really good. And they were going to do a sequel, but it ended up not happening. And the great Peter Capaldi's in that as well. Oh, yeah, World War Z, I love it. I mean, I'm not really a zombie person, but I just like the way how, they're climbing over the helicopter. They're a real threat. The zombies in The Walking Dead, at first, they were shocking. They creep up behind people and start biting their arms off. But then they weren't the reason everyone was there. It was the emotional shit. Well, I can watch old episodes of Santa Barbara and Sunset Beach. I used to love Sunset Beach. I'll never forget the storyline with the turkey baster. Oh my God, so funny. So funny. You don't want to know about the storyline with the turkey baster. It's pretty gross. So basically, she puts the guy to sleep, gets his love juice, puts it in the turkey baster, and then puts his stuff inside her so she can fall pregnant to him and trap him. Yeah. Funniest shit ever. Funniest shit ever. Those were the days. I do love trash TV. And I do like soap operas. I think I'm a big soap opera fan. Right, we've got about 15 minutes of the live chat left. Get your comments in. Reno Jack, I love horror or sci-fi genre from the past because I have great respect for the special effects and makeup workers on some of those classic films. And because it's all CGI now, isn't it? You don't get the great makeup, the great puppet people that you used to get. And what I think is the creature makeup back in the day was so good and convincing as well. That's what I like about it. And actually the CGI isn't scary when they try and do horror with it. It doesn't work. Unfortunately, the industry became too slick and technical for its own good. and it's taken that effect, especially out of horror. I think good horror is in the puppeteer department. You know, Chucky, for example, a basic doll, but what you do with it, you instill a good voice, and it's the concept of this sweet toy fucking turning nasty. What a fabulous concept. Although the Chucky series, I can't get into it. I think it's bad. Whenever they start sticking teenage characters as leads, you know you're in trouble. Especially if they're generic teenagers who hate their parents, hate school. I think this is why Smallville was successful, because you had a character like Chloe who wanted to go to school, wanted to work at the Torch. You know, it was different, and nobody really hated their parents in Smallville. I mean, we only used to see Clark's parents and Lexi's dad. The rest of the parents we barely used to see in Smallville. Reno Jack, 100% agree. I will always prefer practical, yet we've lost that art form because of CGI. That's the problem. CGI is effective for lots of different reasons, but I think in terms of what we've lost with the creature makeup, that's the problem. Now, a lot of directors still use the creature makeup. I think they use the creature makeup on The Walking Dead especially. It's probably cheaper. But yeah, I think CGI has taken away from practical. Practical can look amazing. If you remember the flying sequences from Superman the movie, it's amazing how good a lot of that flying is, and still stands up today. And when you see flying CGI, it's not as good, in my opinion. I don't think people have ever made Superman fly as realistically as Donald Reeve did. And you know, some of them probably have aged badly, but there's a lot of stuff like when he flies after the rocket that are still iconic, absolutely iconic. John, what you just said happens in the movie Don't Breathe. Oh, wow. Reno Jack, one of the reasons I was initially interested in The Walking Dead was because of the involvement with Greg Nicotero. Great guy, yeah. Absolute special effects legend in Horror Genea. Yeah, it's amazing that they were actually using someone as proficient as that, which is brilliant. I remember Greg because I used to watch The Walking Dead after show as well, which I really used to enjoy. I mean, you know you're popular if you've got an after show. We used to have Doctor Who Confidential and The Walking Dead show afterwards as well, which was so cool. But Greg, yeah, I remember Greg Nicotero. Yeah, it was so cool, wasn't he? I used to like see, he was talking, showed us how he used to do things. That's how big The Walking Dead used to be. But using Greg was a very good idea. But I've never been a horror guy, but I don't know, I just started watching it because everyone was talking about it. It was a big deal when it came on. And Robert Kirkman is obviously a very clever writer, but that show had so many problems on launch. They got rid of the original showrunner. I think they got rid of lots of showrunners. They had so many problems. But really, the problems that weren't shown on what we were watching at first. I think the problems really started as we got further and further into the series. John, I met one of the actors from Lost. Which one? I mean, that's cool that you met the actors, but yeah, I don't know. Which one was it? It's so cold. Oh, wow, 11 likes. That's a bit of a record, isn't it? Previously on Lost, John, I can't remember his name on the show, but He had an eye patch. No, I can't remember anyone with an eye patch on the show. Or maybe you mean he had an eye patch in real life. Not sure who that is. But that was an amazing show. That really was. It was a great show. That was back in the era, back in the peak of Hollywood television, I used to watch everything back then. Everything. I used to go on Twitter. I used to put up today's event TV, Lost, 24, this, that, the other, and then I used to react to each episode of my favorite shows on Twitter. I used to do little videos, probably on Instagram back then because I didn't have a YouTube channel. I was really fucking into it. Loved it. I used to watch 5 or 6 episodes of shows a day. I used to watch every single show. Now I barely watch any new stuff from TV because they killed it. They killed it. It's all streaming now. There were a lot of good TV shows in the early noughties. Really good. Smallville, 24, Lost, Alias. Desperate Housewives was another one I freaking well loved. Absolutely hilarious and dark. That's what you call black comedy. Absolutely brilliant. That was good shit for 8 years. Reno Jack, are you a fan of SVU? So I really do enjoy Law and Order SVU. I don't watch it religiously, but yeah, I do like it. I do watch episodes now and again of that, but it's really good, yeah. And the latest one they did with Stabler, the spin-off show, was very good as well. I mean, look, we talk about Kevin Feige, but Dick Wolf, who is behind the Law and Order TV franchise, is probably the real legend. Yeah, look what he's created with that. And it's brilliant. The original Law and Order's come back now. They stopped it, but yeah, we had loads of Law and Orders. It was a bit like the CSI craze, wasn't it? CSI this, CSI that, NCIS this, NCIS that. NCIS is pretty cool as well. So yeah, I do like SVU. I mean, I don't watch it religiously though, but I do like it. They did a really good COVID episode a year or two ago when that woman when the woman started losing her business, and I think it was, what's her name? That was a Benson episode, weren't it? But it's a great show. Great show. Dick Wolf's a genius. I do respect these people. And I mean, SVU must be one of the longest running shows on TV. That's been on air forever. I mean, some of the stories are amazing. And the way they do it and the way they establish the story is really good. Dun dun. Love it when they do that. Dun dun. Longevity is amazing in TV. Reno Jack, I'm just getting into the newest seasons. The Stabler era was some of the best it was. Ice-T is also a huge legend. Yeah, Ice-T. Who would have thought Ice-T would have been good as acting and stuff? And yeah, Ice-T is one of my favourites as well on SVU. Yeah, brilliant. And I think he's still in it. So yeah, so what's a success story? And of course, Stabler was in Man of Steel. So there's your DC connections. DC connections everywhere. Right now, he's still in the Phantom Zone. Big shock when he left, wasn't it? That's Hollywood, though. He hated them all, he left, and then he came back. Weird. What, because he couldn't get any other work? But I'm glad he came back because he's awesome. But I think it's one of those shows that you can literally have any characters in there. And of course, I don't know, Danny Pinto was in it as well. And Danny Pinto used to be in Cold Case. I used to like Cold Case as well. That was a fucking freaking good show as well. And then Without a Trace, that was a good show as well. A lot of the crime stuff I used to like. John, have you heard of the actor Andrew Divoff? I haven't, unfortunately. You see, I don't know everything. Andrew Divoff, never heard of him. So when I go on Twitter, everyone's going to be boring on about Walter Hamada at Paramount. So I wonder what the job is, what the position is. Does he serve the burgers? Does he sweep the floors at the end of the day? What's he actually doing there? Ray Fisher won't be doing a movie for Paramount then. Not that he's getting many offers. Ray Fisher doesn't get any offers anyway. Ray Fisher pissed his whole career up the wall. And the only person who will hire him is Zack Snyder. Right, guys, 4 minutes to go, then I'm off for the night. It's been a great live. Thank you for all your comments. It's been brilliant. We've had no negativity tonight. It's been a much better chat. This is what we want. We don't want any propaganda merchants. It gets boring, doesn't it? And they give the troublemakers and the propaganda merchants gave us a night off tonight, which is good. So we'll deal with them tomorrow again, I'm quite sure. Because it's the internet, isn't it? If you haven't smashed the like button, please do. John, he's the actor I met from Lost. He played a member of the others. Oh, right. Oh, right. John Diver. Oh, Andrew Divoff. No. I'll have to Google him when I come off of here. Henrik, everyone. Henrik, evening, everyone. You've got like 2.5 minutes of the live chat, Henrik. Reno Jack, this is a geezer-free zone. Oh, no, it's never a geezer-free zone. Geezer is not a derogative term. Geezer means guy. But as you're here, Henrik, you can smash the like button. "12 likes. Very nice. Not bad. I'll put them in the bag and add them to the rest. Reno Jack, haha, my mistake. Thought it was a term meant to insult. You must be American, Reno. Yeah. Geezer means guy. The geezer. Instead of saying the guy, the geezer. Henrik, could you recommend a good book, Mickey? Maybe a sci-fi one. I'm a film, I'm a TV guy. I don't read books, I'm afraid, Henrik. Yeah, I'm afraid I've exposed myself. I don't have the concentration. Henrik, same, but I want one to fall asleep to. Well, if you want one to fall asleep to, you better think of the most boring author and read their books. Reno Jack, Henrik, June. I always say June. Well, everyone, this is Movies TV Mad, and I'm Mick, and your headlines tonight are: only one Batman in the DC universe. David Zaslav says he doesn't want 4 Batmen in the new DC universe, and there will not be 4 Batmen in the DC universe. James Gunn's and Peter Safran's DC Universe Bible is almost complete. And in the Batman script book, Barbara Gordon was mentioned, but never mentioned in the actual film. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. Henrik, who will they continue with? Gonna connect the Batman to the DCU. Well, they could recast. They could cast a brand new actor. They could use Robert Pattinson. We're all in the dark right now. But I think the plan of multiple Batmen is definitely out the window. Reno Jack, later on, sir. Have a good one. You too, Reno. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, everyone, for the interactions. Thank you for the likes. And until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.